Why do people want to put themselves on stage? That's the question. I was invited by my friend Don Price to the Bassendean Hotel.
I'm looking back for my future, right into my past, to help me make a decision, better make it fast. I'm banking on life's bass drum, I'm gonna change my tune. I'm holding on to a feeling, and that feeling is you. Is it fake or is it real? The changes that I feel, they remind me.
I've been looking for a house, I've been working tons, not gigging much, just working tons, saving up for a house, and driving around, guys, when you're a first home buyer and you don't have that much money and you're looking for a house, it makes you realise that all the places that I look for, they don't really have conveniences, they don't really have nice shops, but they do have a lot of shopping trolleys. You know, I reckon real estate agents should have a, trolleys per square kilometre, on their sites. Yeah, that's got potential. That needs a lot more. Also, I think real estate agents should branch out. They shouldn't just work on selling property. I think they should go into photography, but very niche photography, like for dick pics. Because anytime you get there, the place is way smaller in real life, get them to take your dick pic, mate, you look like fucking Ron Jeremy, no problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the one and only, extremely talented, Mr. Nick Hunter! Ladies and gentlemen, COVID, hello, good evening, can you hear me? Fucking COVID, what's happening? I keep going to shake someone's hand and they fist me. Or sometimes I fist and they shake. Do you ever get that? So you end up punching their shake. Does it make sense? And I've got a friend whose wife I get on with, and you got to admit with COVID there are some advantages to it. Like, is anyone here happy they don't have to fucking hug a certain relative anymore?
Okay.
Who is she?
My mother-in-law.
Yeah, anyway, so my mate's wife, Monica, right? Every time I go around for dinner, we hug and kiss, oh, hello, Nick, kiss. It's not genuine, right? It's all it's there's this pretense, right? So it's good now. COVID's quite good because all I do now is use my fist. I use my fist on them. Fisting my best mate's girlfriend. That's where this set's going.
Now, I just want to show you something. You see, I smoke cigars from time to time. So this cigar here got me thrown out of a grocery store. This cigar here, yes. All right, I lit this cigar 3 weeks ago. I took the cigar to Exmouth, went on a holiday, came off my holiday, decided to go this past Sunday, decided to go to Costco to buy a few things for my, to go to work, some bananas and a few other large items like toilet paper and things of that nature. So walking around Costco, I've got this in my mouth, and all of a sudden, an Indian security guard comes up to me and goes, "Oh, you can't smoke that here." I'm like, "It's not lit, you asshole. Get the fuck away from me." And he's like, and before you know it, I had 10 people standing around me, and I'm like, and I looked at the guy and said, "Oh my God, don't tell me you're throwing the black guy out for having a cigar in his mouth." And they pretty much tried to escort me out of Costco, the only American store that's in Perth, and an American being thrown out. I said, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm at home." But there were no guns. And the little manager came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you can't abuse, you can't be here because you're abusing our staff." I'm like, "How the fuck can I abuse your staff when I said just get the fuck away from me?" Is that abuse, people? Anybody? See, yeah, I know, you guys throw the C-bomb out like it's a thing to do.
The risk of being ridiculed on stage by the public is enough of a deterrent for most people. Being funny is one thing, but being a stand-up comedian is another thing entirely. I'm exploring the amateur stand-up comedy scene and see for myself how hard it really is to stand up on stage and try and come across funny to an audience. Some talk about their daily lives and some talk about absolutely nothing. Trying to deliver as comedy is a real skill.
All fucked up because they got that Vegemite shit. You put that shit in your mouth. You know how bad that shit smells? Well, how I ended up in Australia, I met these chicks in San Francisco, and I was joking with them. I said, "Oh, you must be British because you don't run into too many Aussies." And so this young lady, who and her little gang of women out in San Francisco, they're like, "Oh no, we're Australian." I'm like, "Hey," that whole back and forth, and I became friends with this young lady, and I came to Australia back in the late '90s. I crashed her sister's wedding, and I ended up staying. I was only supposed to stay for 3 months. I ended up staying 5 years.
Right.
And so I'm probably one of the few Americans that could say that I was not on United States soil when 9/11 happened.
Right.
Because I had my friends calling me on the phone going, "Oh, you need to see this on." I didn't think it was real. And so it's like I said, I was one of the few that that didn't get this. Wasn't in the United States when 9/11 happened. I was living in Melbourne at the time.
Right.
So, and that's how.
It was surreal though.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was very surreal because, like I said, I thought it was a movie.
Well, I got up for work the next morning.
Right.
And I'm driving to work, and all I can hear is the radio, and they're going, like, we hope people are all right. I'm going, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Like, and it took me like half an hour. I got to work, and everybody's going, did you see the news? I said, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they said 9/11. Oh, they didn't say 9/11, but
No,
they said they've had planes hit the bloody trade tower.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, like 3 years before, I was in New York. I had gone up to the top of the World Trade Center, taking photos. I still got the photos.
Yeah.
But it's like 1 minute the two buildings are there, and next minute they're both gone.
As an American, how did it make you feel?
I was like, what the hell's it's like, it's like what the hell's going on? Because it's like anything, as an American, you never think that anything happens on American soil because we've got the biggest army, we got the biggest navy, we got all, we spend all this money on defense and all this shit, to keep the country safe. But, and then something like that happens. And it's like,
Well, I mean, nothing like that has ever happened since Pearl Harbor.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so that's why it's just kind of like, things happen now that just so, and for me living out of the country and looking back, I have a different perspective on things, and thank God for social media because it allows me to be somewhat close to my friends.
Now, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when it happened, it changed
Everything.
travel forever.
Everything.
The way we do things, was absolutely.
Yeah.
You just can't go to an airport now, and you can't even fuck around joking. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, when I was in law enforcement, I used to be the air marshal of the day.
Right.
If I knew that I was traveling somewhere, I'd put a suit on. I'd have a couple guns on, and I'm on the plane, sitting in business class, and and you're laughing. You're like, look at me. You don't say anything. You're just like,
How did John Price get into comedy then?
Well, how I got into comedy was my youngest kid. I've got 3 kids, but my youngest kid just turned 19.
Right.
And she was an exchange student, an international exchange student in Virginia.
Right.
And so what happened for her? She was having headaches and just a typical. We were thinking, oh, we haven't, it's just like what young girls have. And then all of a sudden, she was going blind. And we couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And so she did this. She was supposed to stay a year. She only did did 1 semester, and so did the semester, and so brought her back, and come to find out that she ended up having golf ball size brain tumor.
Wow.
And so that's the reason why I got back into comedy, because it was my way of kind of like dealing with, when your child is like, is like that close to dying. What do you do? How do you deal with that?
I think everybody needs a release valve.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And so, and so I was very angry. Because none of the medical people were giving us any answers. Everybody was like, "Oh, maybe go to the ophthalmologist. Go to, she had all the eye tests that you could ever think that you could ever have." And then one doctor said, "Well, why don't you go and get a PET scan, which is basically doing a scan from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet, and they just do a little." It turns out it takes a picture of her whole body. It takes like 2 or 3 hours to have it done. But the thing is that they found this golf ball sized lesion on her ocular nerve, where she couldn't see. So like 1 minute she'd be looking at you, next minute it's like somebody's taking a blanket and it's throwing it over her eyes, and it's like, holy shit. And so when they found it, within a couple of days, she was in the hospital having it taken out. And and like I say, the poor girl was just 19. At that time, was just 19 years old, just turning 20.
Yeah.
And so it's like, she's at the beginning of her life, and all of a sudden you're telling me that my kid's got brain cancer? What the hell's going on? It's like, so that was I just started. So I got back. So it was just, like I said, comedy was my way. My release. It was my way of sort of coping, because, like I say, when nobody's giving you any answers, and you're trying to keep your family together, and you're trying to, make sure that, that, because my wife was hysterical.
Look, people are funny off the stage.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that a lot, like the Aussies are really funny? You get an Aussie at a bar.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Or a barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get them on the stage, and they just, I saw a couple there, and they just choke.
Yeah. But if
instead of just being themselves.
Because
a lot of British comedy, acts.
Right.
Are funny because they're just themselves.
Yeah.
And like the American guys, Don Rickle.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He was just, this Jewish guy who could actually just talk shit
the whole time.
But, and abuse the shit out of people.
Yeah.
But it was like funny because people just knew he's going to take the shit out of me.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. You think of like Rodney Dangerfield. You think of Richard Pryor. You think of all these comics that have come up. That Red Fox. These guys, they were just themselves, right. And they're just talking about their life, and that's and that's funny. And when you don't have a lot of,
but if you look at their lives as well, a lot of it was sad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But they turned it to have a laugh, and that's what I was stemming on before. They've got a dark side to them.
Yeah.
But they've used that darkness to shine a light.
Yeah.
I've heard that you make
I make a screaming burger, man. You need to come by my house.
Well, we're gonna have a hangover tomorrow.
You need to come by my house. I'm willing to spark up the barbecue and make a burger. Bring tears to your eyes. So you let me know.
Kachinga.
Cheers. We're out of here.
But you know we're both gonna be broken-hearted. I don't wanna blow the wind out from your sails. Don't you know this thing is doomed to fail?
I meet up with Don for his interpretation of a genuine American burger, a chat around the barbie, and a few beers. Oh, Don, thanks for inviting me around for a genuine US burger.
This is what I do, man. You think about it. This is what Aussies do. So I'm trying to fit in. Have a barbecue, have some beers, hang out with your buds, type of thing.
Perfect day for it.
Oh, definitely. It wasn't like it was yesterday. So, this is a beautiful day, and so here we are.
So what is a perfect burger?
Well, the way I look at a perfect burger is one that's cooked completely. Yeah. A lot of cheese, a lot of seasoning, and it just, you take that first bite and you can just taste the goodness. That's, you know, it's not going to what's that, Hungry Jack's or places like that. Yeah, Burger King, you know, for us, or McDonald's. It's like, no, it's something that when you take that first bite, you know that you're having something that's good.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe in, because, you know, we were talking about things that I miss, and that's some of the things I miss, because here, you know, it's sort of like almost being European. They want to try to serve you small amounts of food, charge you a big price. Being in the States, you get a whole lot of food for a small amount of money, and you're like taking the doggy bag home with you, you know. And so that's how I look at it. It's like I'm always looking at how do I get a whole lot for a small price.
Yeah.
And
I must say that the US, they know how to make a burger.
oh yeah,
They make pizza and a hot dog. So what's your technique here?
well, my technique is always 2 patties, cheese in the middle. Then I also put more cheese on top of that and let that all cook in. But but the thing is that you got to be ready for that cheese. See, a lot of people don't like a lot of cheese. I'm a cheese guy.
Right.
So, I'll cook it with cheese.
Well, you're cooking, man, so we're just going to eat what you dish up.
Yeah. So I'm cooking with cheese, and I'll put more cheese on it. My wife's like, "No, it's too much, and I was like, I'm like, sorry, that's what I'm eating." And so that's what, like I said, that's one of those American things. It's like, got to have a whole bunch of something. And so my thing is cheese. Put a whole bunch on it, and I'll cook it. And like I said, I always try to make sure that try to make it gourmet than anything else. You can not just slap it on and just do it.
Or wholesome?
Oh no, nothing wholesome. No, hey, come on, man, look at this. Come on. You don't get.
Comfort food, then.
Yeah, you don't get. This is a temple. I feed the temple. I don't. There's nothing about rice cakes or something simple. It's like, no, you got to eat.
Yeah.
But everybody's into being healthy. And a lot of folks are like, oh, I don't eat meat. And I'm like, sorry, I eat meat. I'll eat meat 5 days a week, and I don't care.
Oh, the vegans.
Yeah, oh. Yeah, my youngest kid, she'll go from being a vegan 1 minute to being a vegetarian, and then when she smells some food, she's like, ooh, that's so good. That's not so nice. I'm like, oh, that's not vegan. And she's like, oh. So it's all like I say, for me, it's always about the food.
Wow, this looks good.
Now, this is what I call an American burger for me.
Right. Do as the locals do.
Do as the locals do. Do a little bit of this, some of that.
Bit of traditional mayo.
Look at that.
Wow, this looks really good. That's really good.
Like I said, this is just throwing something together. A quick afternoon meal instead of going out. But my wife's like, oh, you always eat out all the time. I was like, well, a lot of times I can't make time to cook. But when I do, this is what happens.
What's it like, as an American, being a comedian in Australia,
Well, it's good, but a lot of times, I truly have to get my comedy to fit where I'm at, because a lot of things I say is funny. A lot of things I say on stage are funny, and sometimes I don't think I get the response like I should. But with anything, you're still a work in progress, and that's how I look at it.
Do you use your political, do you use what's going on in the world?
Well, not really, because the problem is that you'll be surprised that most Australians are not into the whole political thing.
Right.
You know, the first thing out of their mouth is, oh, you know, you can't trust a politician, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, they're always going to do us. You know, and so what I try to do is, if I put some political stuff out there, I kind of put it out there with something that a broad range of people will understand.
And also, you got to be careful of your audience as well, because a lot of them may swing either way.
Exactly.
And you could actually alienate your audience. So.
Oh, I do. I'm good at that. And like I say, a lot of times I'm at the point now I don't really care, because I think that if I don't say what's on my mind and get it out there, then I think I'm losing who I am, because I've had a lot of people say, oh, you should do it this way, oh, you should do it that way. I'm like, no, I have to do it my way. I have to do it how I feel for me.
Comedy to me is probably one of the hardest skills out there, and I've spoken about this before, but you know, like you know, a lot of dark people are great comics.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's brought out a little of my darkness. But the thing is that, you know, like for me, this has been very therapeutic. It has allowed me to get things off of my chest and talk about my life and my family and my friends and my workmates, but not really, you know, not as Ozzy say, bag them. It's like, no, I'm just telling a story. You know, some people do things, it's silly, but I find it funny, and I think, and I'm hoping that the story that I tell or the joke that I tell about it resonates where somebody go, oh yeah, I remember, and it goes on. Yeah. You know, I have a routine, and I work on that routine. You know, and I take things out, I put things in. You know, I've got certain things that I'll always say, but then I try to fill some other stuff in there. You know. And then I try some other stuff, and I write, you know, and I sit around. I think I spend more time writing than I do anything else. And my wife is like, "Oh, you need to practice more." I'm like, I think when I get up to go to work every day, I practice. That's my practice. Yeah. When I'm talking to people, you know, how do you know, at my job, I'm talking to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people in the course of my work day, and if I can get and I'll talk to these people for 3 to 5 seconds, and I get a smile on their face at 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Yeah, I must be doing something right. Yeah, and that's what, you know, and that's how I look at it, because it takes, you know, there's not that many people there's people who I work with hate my job. Right. When I'm not there, they hate doing my job, because they're like, we can't figure out what you say to people. And they're smiling, and they're like, you've taken a little bit of their flying stress off of them. They're going through security stress off of them, just that little bit. They're like, how are you doing? I said, I just talk to them, and that's what I do. That's the same thing, and that's the same thing I do when I'm on stage. I try to talk to people, and hopefully that things that I talk about is something that resonates and puts a smile on their face. Wow.
I accompanied Don to the Windmill Comedy Club for another round of comedy.
What is happening? Thanks, man. It's only a good conversation I can get for tonight, you know what I'm saying? Good to be here, fellow comics. Yeah. How are we? Good? No, it's good. Has anybody been open mic comedy before? For those that haven't, just going to let everybody know that you're going to see some amateur comedians, you're going to see some semi-pro, you're going to see some professional, and unfortunately, you're going to see some shit cunts too, you know what I'm saying? But just let it happen, be supportive, you know? It doesn't have to be like one of those... therapy sessions where we're just listening. If you want to heckle, you can heckle me. You know, like it's all good. I'll just see you in the car park afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'll just put you in a headlock.
But no, I'm over here. I actually work in science because I'm an engineer. I work in science. I've had a few science jobs. had an interview for a science job, and they said, we really like you, but you've got to pass the psychological test. So they sent me for a psychological test, and it's a multiple choice. I am excellent at multiple choice. I'm expert. I can guess like I'm a clairvoyant when it comes to multiple choice. So here goes. And the first question was, when you're walking down the street, do you think people are watching you from the shadows, and when you look, they're not really there? Answer A, sometimes. B, often. C, never. D, all of the above. How can I get this right? So I have a guess. Well, I think like sometimes would probably be right. Anyhow, so I put sometimes down. Next question is like, do you think people are trying to poison you? Far out. Answer, yes, sometimes. B, never. C, all of the above. And I go, right, I think never, I'll go for that one. Anyhow, so I passed the test and they give me the job. So the job was 15 months in Antarctica with the same 22 people. That test was fucking shit. It was hopeless. After 15 months, it was like fucking Lord of the Flies. Yes, we have some English lit students in here. That's great.
Anyway, I actually hooked up with my first Asian. I know, my little international spree on Tinder, I was like, let's just be, out of the box. Thing is, he just got off a cruise ship from China on March 1 long weekend. And then by March 8, I had totally convinced myself I had COVID because, wow, like what are the chances? I should. Ended up having to go to hospital because, I'm a hypochondriac. And I had to get the COVID test. It's not pleasant. Who has had it? I can't see anything. I can't see anything there either. It's just like all black. But yes, I had to have the COVID test. Did anyone have it? Yeah. Oh, how did you go? Because I didn't go well at all. Like it was the deepest penetration that I've had this year. Deeper than what the Asian gave me.
How did you start in comedy? I mean, what was the influences in your life to want to get involved in the comedy scene?
I'll go first because I'm the oldest. I don't know. I used to be a musician. I still am a musician, but I had to stop playing music for a few reasons. But then I stumbled into it. I went to an open mic one night and just I knew a guy who was doing it and just sort of fell in love with it really. I had a crack at it and had a good first spot. I was lucky. It could have been horrendous and I've never done it again maybe. But I had a good first spot and that was at the Brisbane hotel. And and then probably like a lot of the guys on the scene now, there's more and more guys doing more rooms. Because there's so many comedians out there all over Perth, and there's a chronic shortage of spots at the moment.
And is there many, are there many professional comedians in Perth, or is it mainly just a stand-up?
Well, when you say
open
professional, there's people who earn more money than others. There's very few. I don't think there's many professional comedians in Perth. I mean, sure, there probably are a few who make a living out of it, but very few. But that's okay, So it's a bit of a hierarchy or a ladder that you have to ascend.
Bit of an apprenticeship then.
Yeah. But there's some very good networks. You make a lot of friends.
Obes?
I grew up watching the Melbourne Comedy Gala on TV when I was a young kid, and I really thought it was good. And then I tried being funny as a kid, and I wasn't. So I just waited until I was funny, and then thought I might write some stuff, and it still wasn't funny. So I waited even longer, and now I'm half funny, so I'm giving it a try.
And obviously, your act was about being transgender.
Yeah.
Is comedy helping you as a therapy to overcome that, or
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, your
It's-
transition?
I think of it more in terms of being maybe the first trans person someone's ever met. And even if I'm only giving my own perspective, it's maybe not a perspective they've seen before. Even if it's a perspective that's maybe not the best experience of every person's life. People need to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So having like me talk about you know, all of the different things that have happened to me, or all of my opinions around transition, if they're not what they've heard before, at least they'll update their thoughts about it, and maybe over time things will be a bit easier.
But being here, you're all equal, as in you've all got. Like whenever I talk about, you know, culture, there's a commonality, even in being in the comedy scene.
Yeah.
You know, you might be different in your outside life, but in here you're all the same. Who's the funniest nation in the world? You know, like I'm throwing it out there. Who do you reckon's the funniest nation? You know,
You know me. I'll say United States, because the thing is that there's so much.
Fucking hilarious now,
Yeah,
mate.
you know.
start a fucking war here.
No, because the thing is that, you know, it's about politics, or it's, you know, race, or it's, you know,
A big variety.
Yeah, there's just so many. There's just so many people. You know, you look at certain guys that, you know, they're country guys, and they're talking about how they live, you know, on the farm, or this, you know, just certain things. Like, and so when I look at comedy, and just like I've had a conversation with a lot of people, that the reason I got back into it was because I was dealing with the pain of my youngest kid who had brain cancer. Yeah. And so that was the only way. I couldn't sit in a therapist's office talking about, you know, my youngest kid who was in the States, who's got brain cancer, who had to come back to Australia to be fixed. And so now she's been cleared. And so this is one of the reasons why I got back into it. And so there is some therapy to it, but a lot of it is the seriousness of life changes and things that we all do, and that's how I've looked at it.
So when you're at work, are you constantly, you know, collating information or, you know, material?
I am, mate.
No?
Yeah, I am, mate. Constantly collecting material, but I've constantly got a mindset that I just cannot take anything seriously anymore.
No.
Anything.
I
Why is it when I go to a BP service station, they always ask me if I want a loyalty card or some fucking random card to go with all my other cards? Why the fuck do I want another loyalty card? I'm not a very loyal person.
Or would you like two fucking cherry ripes?
Yeah.
Half price.
For the price.
That still gets you.
Half price.
Oh my God.
Comedy with you guys. I mean, are you like? Is it something that you're going to continue and try and?
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something that you want to make a living out of? Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Is cancel culture having an effect on the comedy scene? Is it strangling creativity and honesty? I hope not.
You guys don't like black people, but you guys are willing to try to make all the fucking money off of us. You know, when you got, you know, when Aussies brought some shit to the United States, they brought the fucking Blooming Onion, a place called Outback Steakhouse, and fucking Foster's beer. What the fuck? That's not a good trade-off, people. You know, and also you guys got mullets. We're not looking to get mullets off you guys, huh? Nothing. You know, no mullet. That's just not happening. Oh. I'm sorry, all the fucking lights, hold on. I'm okay, officer. Thank you very much. That's my time. Thank you very much, everybody. That's my time.